In the previous video we talked about how to be proactive, and the theme of this section is how to face difficulties in growing up. The more you understand modern science, the more you realize that some practices people adopt in life are wrong. Treating oneself as a tool in life, engaging in self-exploitation to acquire skills, and then selling those skills to others. The essence of this behavior is the belief that learning and growth themselves are not enjoyable, and all joy can only be obtained after gaining recognition from others. I hope the methods mentioned in Grant's book can fundamentally change some people's perceptions. Let's take a look at how those who have truly achieved great things and world-class achievements have overcome challenges. Evelyn Glennie is the world's first touring percussionist, holding 100 of her concerts each year and winning 3 Grammy Awards, and she is almost deaf. She discerns music through vibrations in various parts of her body. However, we are not here to tell a story of overcoming physical challenges, but rather about Evelyn's training methods. Because she had no hearing, and others doubted her, she was even more determined to prove herself. She convinced the judges and became a full-time student at the Royal College of Music. Music requires practice, and Evelyn loves to practice. She dedicates 2 to 3 hours to practice every day. Then she found out that other classmates practiced even longer. So, Evelyn added more practice for herself. She woke up an hour earlier and slept later at night, but after doing this for a while, she realized something was off. Music is not like lifting bricks at a construction site. Quantity alone won't work. You need aesthetics. Initially, Evelyn sought a playful rhythm full of creativity in her practice, so she kept progressing. But after adding more practice, she found that playfulness and creativity disappeared, and the training became purely physical. There is something called overpractice. Real deliberate practice does not mean that the longer the better. You must ensure that the practice is deliberate and cannot be routine. Your practice should be full of passion. Psychologists categorize passion into 2 types. Harmonious passion, where you willingly do something and derive pleasure from the activity itself. And obsessive passion, where you are also dedicated, but focus on the outcomes rather than the activity. For example, a child fully engaged in playing a game is harmonious passion. A child practicing the piano for 2 hours daily to get into an Ivy League school, though passionate, is obsessive passion. Obsessive passion controls your life, while harmonious passion enriches it. Confucius said, "Those who understand are not as good as those who enjoy, and those who enjoy are not as good as those who delight in it." This refers to harmonious passion. It's not about what I should learn. It's about what I love to learn. Harmonious passion allows you to immerse yourself completely in the flow of practice, as if there is only you and your instrument in the world. To have harmonious passion in practice, you cannot practice too much. It's best to feel a little freshness each time you pick up your instrument. For this, you need breaks. Moreover, as we know, breaks can stimulate creativity and deepen memory. The most accomplished musicians don't let themselves practice for too long, especially not for an extended period in one go. Evelyn rarely practices for more than 20 minutes at a time now. If she feels her attention waning, unable to concentrate, she stops practicing. Sometimes she just wants to sit. Research has shown that pianists who gained international acclaim before the age of 40 rarely had an obsessive passion. They weren't forced by their parents to practice the piano all day. Most of them spent less than an hour practicing daily when they started. They were fortunate to encounter teachers who could spark their interest. They enjoyed practicing. However, quantity is still essential. Deliberate practice still requires a significant amount of training, because your neural networks are, after all, made of flesh and need substantial, accumulated training. But doing repetitive tasks will inevitably become boring. That's why we used to say, deliberate practice is not fun. So, is there a way to ensure the required training volume while making it enjoyable? One strategy is cross-training. The advantage of Evelyn playing percussion is that she has many kinds of instruments. After practicing one for a while and getting bored, she can switch to another, maintaining harmonious passion. Studies indicate that tennis players practicing serves perform best when the 3 serving methods are randomly practiced, rather than practicing one method 20 times before moving to another. The key is to keep it fresh and interesting. I heard that training an eye is also done this way now. You can't feed it only mathematical data for a while, then switch to language data. Cross-feeding has the best effect. Russell said, "Diversity is essential to happiness." So, what if I need to practice a project right now, and I find it especially tedious? Can I cross-train it with another project I like? Here, please be careful, the answer is no. The projects you cross-train should be equal. If you like some and dislike others, this method will only make you dislike the projects you don't enjoy even more. You will only want to finish the tasks you dislike quickly, and move on to what you like. For example, in basketball, if you want to become a good player, you must love shooting. But to excel in basketball, you also need fundamental skills like sprints, stretching, dribbling, etc. You must improve your speed and agility to engage in competition effectively. However, you don't like practicing those. If the coach simply arranges these practice sessions in a straightforward cross-training manner, players will only have harmonious passion when shooting, making them less willing to practice basic skills. Grant conducted an experiment himself. He recruited participants and assigned them a task of copying names and numbers from the phone book, an undoubtedly dull task. Then he randomly allowed some people to watch YouTube videos during the task. The result was that those who could watch videos made more mistakes in the copying task. This is probably why letting children play and learn alternately is not a good idea. They will only want to play and be less willing to learn. You need to turn learning into play. This concept is called deliberate play. Making yourself run alone may seem boring, but if you play a small game that requires constant running with a few people, you will find it interesting. Your training volume is the same, but you are happy and more engaged. The idea is to turn boring training into a game. A basketball coach named Brandon Payne, Curry's mentor. The reason why he didn't succeed in playing professional basketball was because he didn't like physical training, so after he became a coach, he worked hard to study how to make physical training interesting. Payne invented such a game called 21 points. You have to use three-pointers, jump shots and layups to score 21 points within 1 minute. You are required to sprint to the center of the field and back after each shot. In this way, I practiced shooting as well as sprinting, and the panting state when shooting also simulated the fatigue during the game. The coach will record how many seconds it takes you to score 21 points, and then you compete with yourself in the next round to see if you can do better. This is deliberate play. Payne invented many such games, and after one game, players move on to another, cross-training, but each round is interesting. Deliberate play is not the same as the gamification trend that was popular recently, where tasks are gamified. Gamification is a motivational tool. You get a certain number of points for completing a task, essentially still an external drive, useful for selling buns, for example. Deliberate play is about finding joy in the activity itself, providing harmonious passion. One particularly popular form of deliberate play is role-playing. For example, in a sales course, students are required to play the roles of salespeople and customers. The customer holds a box, and the salesperson asks, "What is in the box?" The goal of the game is for the salesperson to continue the conversation with the customer for 3 minutes without interruption, regardless of how badly they are treated. These exercises are not only more popular but also significantly more effective in learning. You cannot rely on willpower to persist in tedious training. The most disciplined people are those who need the least willpower because they naturally want to do what they are doing. We've mentioned the marshmallow experiment before, and further observations show that children who resisted eating the marshmallow were not sitting there in a battle of wills but were playing with the marshmallow. They turned resistance into a game. Long-term compulsive training will not only lead to burnout but also to bore-out. Burnout is physical fatigue, and bore-out is mental boredom. No child likes to sit there playing the piano for 4 hours every day, just as no adult likes to spend 4 hours on learning grammar. People need fresh stimuli and joyful emotions. There was a little girl who became bored with playing the violin. Her mother approached Evelyn and asked if she could provide some encouragement. Instead of giving her a values lecture about the importance of practicing, Evelyn suggested trying something different. "Can you play the piece backward? Can you add the soundtrack of that TV show to this piece? Can you incorporate some animal sounds?" The girl immediately fell in love with playing the violin again. We've discussed 3 methods to overcome difficulties and avoid training boredom: spaced breaks, cross-training, and deliberate play. These methods allow you to have harmonious passion, enabling you to experience the joy of the activity itself, but these are not benefits. It's not about being lazy or protecting human rights. These methods are precisely to help you improve your skills more efficiently. Your most valuable qualities are creativity and your uniqueness. You not only can have, but must have harmonious passion. I hope that all of us can find a way of living that is more worthwhile.